What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and we're back into the team builder today, and we're going to build a squad around bloodmoon URSALUNA. Now, we technically featured this mon last week in a video on Casual Ladder when we showcased Pokesports team, Pokesports team, right? But you know, that was their team and that was their take on it. And now we're going to show our version and the way we're going to do it. And again, if this is something you're interested in, if you're trying to get a squad going for regulationE and you just need a little bit of help, feel free to sub on the channel with that tier 3 sub. If you look in the video description, there's a link, as well as in the pinned comment, there's also the same link where you can click and join the channel with the tier 3 sub. And then from there, we sit down in a Discord call with you and we build the squad that you want, whether it be for a tournament, online ranked ladder play, a premier challenge, whatever it is you need, a local. We've got you covered. We've already done a few already for some people, and we're going to be continuing to do that, you know, for a very, very long time, right? So anyway, the request this time was bloodmoon URSALUNA, and again, it's just like, what we're going to do is just pretty much use a very familiar core with it, and then just add some interesting options here, right? But I feel like you always start here in terms of building, right? You start with Cresselia and you start with Iron Hands, and this is always true even with like the physical version, right? So again, a very, very strong and bulky Trick Room setter, hard to break, and then you get a nice good fake out user in the Iron Hands, what I call, again, the glue of the competitive format. You know, you can literally put it on a lot of different teams and it just brings it together, and that's what Iron Hands does here. You get fake out pressure to be able to help you set up Trick Room. It helps you stall out other things, right? Because you have fake out, and then it just helps with positioning as well, right? So, and at the end of the day, you know, another base 140 attacker, you know, just like, you know, the physical version where you get another good strong attacker, but again, it's just another good solid Trick Room abuser, right? Now, again, with URSALUNA, you know, you saw it in Pokesports video where they had the Assault Vest variant. We're gonna do our take, and we're gonna do a different version, which was again also another request for the viewer for this specific item. But you know, there's a lot of different items you can use on URSALUNA. You can definitely use like a life orb set. You can do like a leftovers calm mind set. I think that one's pretty good as well. But the one we're gonna use in this video is we're gonna go with the throat spray, and we're going to go with hyper voice here. All right, and then at the same time, we're gonna go, of course, bloodmoon. Then we're gonna go earth power, of course, very, very good stab move, and then it's just simply protect, right? Good move set here, in my opinion. You know, you got your stab special attacker, and again, the whole point of this URSALUNA is that you can't get intimidated by Landers or Arcanine, and for that matter. Great into a lot of these fire types like a Suin Arcanine, like a regular Ogerpon that wants to go into embody aspect fire, and then at the same time Heatran. You have something for that, and then of course the opposing Iron Hands, right? So then from here, again, the fact that you can hit ghost types, right, which is huge, because you know, this is just a huge nuke. Then you have hyper voice to start things off, you know, good spread damage, and then good single target damage with bloodmoon. Even if you can't use this anymore, you have earth power and hyper voice next turn, right? So that's the real benefit here. And then you just look at its stats, like base 113 HP, 120 defense, very, very bulky. And then, of course, that really, really good special attacking stat. Now, this SPDEF is, of course, a little bit lacking, but that's okay, because we can definitely compensate that, you know, with a few things, like just a very heavy investment in SPDEF, whereas the Iron Hands, same kind of idea, but this is the one that's going to be getting the Assault Vest this time, whereas URSALUNA is getting the throat spray here with Protect, okay? And then it's just all about, like, supporting this trio. Like, how do you want to construct your squad here? Okay, well, we have some ideas here. First of all, I think we go with the Suin Arcanine here. You know, Intimidate support is always very, very much appreciated. And then just good solid stab moves like Rock Slide, you know, for the Genie, Qianpao, Dragonite stuff. And then again, the Ogerpons, you can intimidate them. You can intimidate Landers, you can intimidate Iron Hands, you can intimidate a regular URSALUNA. Now you might be weak to them, quote unquote, but again, you have the power of terrestrialization. Okay, and then from here, of course, Flare Blitz, and then you just run something like Extreme Speed, and then this last slot, the one that's on the rise is Terra Blast, Terra Fairy, and for good reason, because you just consider the weakness to fighting damage, right? You know, Drain Punch from an Iron Hands or Sacred Sword from a Qianpao. You just go, or even like Urshifu close combat, you just click, your Terra and then go Terra Blast, Terra Fairy, and all those options, they just die, right? So I think you go here, Intimidate, you got Fake Out. I would love a Redirection Mon, and I would love a little bit support for URSALUNA and Arcanine because these two are weak to water types. If there was only a Pokemon that could do just that, where you can have some water absorption, right? There's a couple options here. You could definitely go Gastrodon here. Okay, I think this one fits as well. But the one that we're gonna go in this video is the Water Ogerpon, right? And this was the specific request for the viewer to use the URSALUNA and the Ogerpon together, and I can't think of a better squad to do it than this, right? So you've got Crest, you got URSALUNA, Iron Hands, Arcanine, Ogerpon, and again, what I call the big mainstay, the big three in the VGC condiments, right? Whenever you're doing team building, you got Intimidate, you got Fake Out, the other one is Redirection, and this one's the perfect mon to do it. You got Follow Me here, okay? And Follow Me is really good, with a team like this. You help your Cresselia set up the Trick Room, you redirect attacks and protect, all of your sweepers here, and Ogerpon itself can be a really, really good attacker in itself. And then finally in the last slot, there's a couple options. You can just simply put Chien-Pao here, and this squad will work because again, with something like this with Chien-Pao, you can boost the Arcanine, you can boost the Iron Hands, and then just even itself just do some big damage, and then at the same time Ogerpon. But then, I'm a little bit physical heavy, and I'm also a little bit Intimidate prone. So what I decided to do, let's get a little bit more balanced. Let's add another special attacker here. Forget the Chien-Pao here. Let's go with Flutter Mane here. Okay. Specifically the booster energy Flutter Mane with something like Icy Wind. So this way you have somewhat of a decent fast mode with like Flutter Mane, Ogerpon, and Arcanine, where you can get a little bit of speed control in that sense. And then of course protect in this slot here, right? So, now you have URSALUNA and Flutter Mane as your special attackers, whereas Cresselia is not really much of a special attacker, it's more of a support option. And then let the Arcanine and Ogerpon help you with the physical damage, along with the Iron Hands as well, right? Of course. And then, you just have a relatively good solid team and a good solid core. Like, this is a familiar core already, just with like the physical URSALUNA, and then maybe even like Chien-Pao or Urshifu, or even, Flutter Mane is still within the slot, right? But that's really the way to go about it. And when I was testing it, it felt good, okay? Especially, against, the Water Urshifu. And then this Ogerpon can beat the Terrafire aspect, right? As well as an opposing Hisuian Arcanine and opposing URSALUNA. Water damage is very, very good in the grand scheme of things, right? So this is the 6, all right? So now what we're going to do is we're just going to finish off rounding out these movesets. And then, of course, display our EVs, and then just jump into the ladder and just play a couple games real quick. All right, so we're going back into Cresselia here. And again, the whole idea with Cresselia is just get your Trick Room up, right? Get your support moves like Lunar Blessing going, right? And so this way you have good healing, because if you think about like Arcanine, just clicking either Flare Blitz here, you're taking damage. You want to heal that back with Lunar Blessing. And then at the same time, the Iron Hands and URSALUNA, they're going to be soaking quite a bit of damage. So let's get their healing going. Now, over here with the Cresselia, I think for me, this is just a personal thing. But again, you have the option here for going a lot of different items. You could definitely go like Safety Goggles here. So this way you don't have to worry about a Mungus or some other, Ogerpon Follow Me shenanigans. They're grass types. You can definitely go like Rocky Helmet here for physical damage. Just chip them and maybe break a Focus Sash. You could definitely go even a Berry. That's also pretty good, but ultimately I decided with Mental Herb because we really want the Trick Room going, because I want to enable the URSALUNA, I want to enable the Iron Hands, I want to be able to use this against those opposing the tailwind teams, right? So I don't want to get taunted either, right? So I think Mental Herb is huge, and then at the same time, you have room for 2 attacks here, right? So I do like this. I do like Moonblast and Helping Hand. Now, I have seen something like, Ice Beam. I've even seen Psychic like this. I feel like these are good sets, right? This is a good set. The Ice Beam is great against like Landers and the Genie. Psychic is good against some Mungus, and good against some other things I want to like Terra Poison for good defensive typing against the Flutter Mane, right? I feel like these are good moves. But ultimately, I just went with Moonblast and I went with Helping Hand. Helping Hand is really good. It helps all these Pokemon do a little bit more extra damage. And then at the same time, your Terra, you can definitely go Terra Electric here. for basically no weaknesses, right? You can definitely also go Terra Fairy here, just to be able to resist dark type damage, and then at the same time make ghost damage neutral. But at the end of the day, if you definitely want to go Terra Electric, that's also fine. I think it just makes a lot of sense. So then where do you want to go from here? I do like URSALUNA. Oh, well, we already got the ground typing here. So I also think, just there's been a few things. You could definitely go Terra Grass here, just to resist water damage, resist grass at the same time, right? But there is some merit to just going Terra Normal here. And at the same time, you just click, Hyper Voice and or Bloodmoon, and it's just going to do so much damage. So, go with it with what you will. And the reason also why I wanted Fluttermane here is because if there is a fighting move incoming to either like URSALUNA or Arcanine, I just want to switch into a ghost type, and then you just whip your fighting move. That was like ultimately the last decision, or the last thing I was thinking about to like, take Chien-Pao out of here and put Fluttermane, because sometimes I really wanted to switch out of a fighting move, but I didn't really have a good fighting immunity, right? Or a good fighting resist besides the Cresselia, which was already on the field. So I switched in the Fluttermane, and I was kind of chilling, because then after that, Trick Room was over, or I flipped the Trick Room, and then Fluttermane was in a much better spot the following turn that I switched it in, right? So then from here, this one is just a standard set. Fake Out, Drain Punch, Wild Charge, and then Heavy Slam, just to be able to snipe opposing Fluttermanes, of course. Good tech option. And then I like Terra Grass here. I know some others have tried like Terra Water, but I just like Grass. That's just me. And then over here, Choice Band, of course. You want this Arcanine to do a whole ton of damage, so you might as well. Then the Ogerpon here. Of course, you're going to go with the Ivy Cudgel. This is your water move here. Then I like Hornleech here. Good recovery, because, at the same time, you're dealing a bunch of damage. You're also going to be taking a bunch of damage because teams are going to want you dead. So it's good to have Hornleech just to get a little bit of recovery going. If you like Woodhammer here for the good high single target damage, this is the one that we've been using on either the grass or the fire one. I think that's okay. But I definitely do think there's some merit to Hornleech. And it's a popular move on Ogerpon, so there's nothing wrong with it. Spiky Shield, of course. This is your Protect that can deal damage. And then remember, the whole idea with the water one, you're getting a good Spadef boost, right? So, all you really need is this. And then, just a nice even number to round out that 1.5 boost. And the way I'm going to play this, I like to play this a little bit bulky, but slow, right? So Adamant is going to be the way we're going to go with this, especially on a Trick Room team like this. All right, same thing with the Fluttermane. We're going to go modest. For sure. But, in terms of a moveset, I think you want Shadow Ball here. This one's a toss-up. You can definitely go Moonblast here. I think single target fairy damage is great. But at the same time, there's still good merit for simply just using Dazzling Beam. There's nothing wrong with it. And you may find some differences in testing. You may opt to switch out the Dazzling Beam for Moonblast. That's totally fine, right? But I'm just giving you like a good starting point just to have something. And then you're going to be the one to make the tweaks based on your testing. But when I was using it, were there some situations where I wish I had Moonblast? Of course. But there were also some situations where I was glad that I had Dazzling Gleam, right? And the Icy Wind is actually huge here, just because it just gives you good speed control, especially against some of those Tailwind teams. You just chip things down. You fake out Icy Wind, so, you either force the Tornadus to Terra, or you just, get chipped, and then next turn you have better speed control in that sense, right? So, from here, I think the Fluttermane, I just went with Terra Fairy here, just for a little bit more damage for my Dazzling Gleam. And then the Arcanine, we already decided, yeah, this is it. So this is the 6. So now what we're going to do is just go back here to Cresselia. We're going to start with our EV spreads. I like Calm here. I think a lot of players like Calm at the moment. And literally, it's just all about maxing this HP, hitting the EV bump here at 76 investment. You see how you go from 163 to 165? And then you just dump the rest into defense like this, right? Now, the whole idea with this damage calc is you can survive a lot of the Chien-Pao Dragonite stuff. You can survive, even a little bit of Ogerpon, as well as some Chi-Yu, depending on their set. And if you want, you can always just go into the Pokemon damage calculator and just look at some of these calcs, right? But it's a very common set to go this route. Again, if you're curious on some calcs, feel free to ask in the comment section if you want to know some calcs, or just do them yourself. But things you want to think about is like, Shadow Ball Fluttermane, Dark Pulse Chi-Yu, and then, even Urshifu Wicked Blow to that degree, right? So then from here, the URSALUNA. So the one thing that I did want to calc for is, at the very least, can I survive Qianpao Icicle Crash with certain investment, right? So I went into the bloodmoon URSALUNA, and I found that, you know, if I go into Qianpao here, you know, you can see my spread right now, but of course, here's the Ice Spinner, right? So this is actually really good. And then if you just change this to Icicle Crash, a little bit more damage, but we actually live it, which is amazing, right? So 156 HP was the way to go, and then 4 defense, right? But of course, the first thing I did was just go for my special attack stat. Again, I went to the second bump here, you know, just to get a little bit more damage out of my URSALUNA. And again, if you want to know what EV bumps are and you're trying to play competitive Pokemon and you don't know what they are, you must ask in the comment section, what are EV bumps? Because they're a very fundamental concept to understand, especially when it comes to team building. So if you don't know what they are, and if you don't quite understand them, comment and ask, and I'll explain it like I do in all my videos, especially with the team building ones, because we get new viewers every single time, and I want to make sure that, you know, all of you beginners or casual players are able to at least get a sense of what some of these numbers and what some of these nuances are. All right, so comment if you don't know what EV bumps are. Then from here, we have 232 investment. You know, this is where we're going to be, you know, pretty much just dumping almost all of it into SPDEF. Right now, the reason why I put a little bit of speed here is because I don't want to speed time my Iron Hands, because, you know, 50 base versus 52 base, they're very close. And I always like to end up with a little bit of speed on my Iron Hands for the fake out mirror sometimes. And this is the set that I've always used at the start of like every single team building video that I've used my Iron Hands are, except when it was like a Tailwind set, right? But anyway, I went with 76 HP investment. This is for optimization. And again, you know, the second bump here in the attack stat, because the first one is here, is at 76, but then every 80 EVs after that, you see the next bump. So here's the next one. You see how you go from 196 to 198. You skip a point. Where's the 197? You skip it. This is the EV bump here, right? The third one is at 236, right? Every 80 EVs, right? You see how you go from 207 to 209, right? But anyway, I went to the second one. 1 point in defense, max the SPDEF. This is for Fluttermane Moonblast stuff, especially for like Terra, Fairy. Then just a little bit in speed, right? So right now I have 73 speed. My URSALUNA has 74. So this way I know the speed interactions. There's no speed tie. I know who's going to go first, whether it's in Trick Room or without. All right. The Arcanine here. So ultimately, I just wanted to be able to, you know, outspeed an opposing, for example, Fluttermane Modest after an Icy Wind, right? And that speed tier is like right here, 126, right? So I still wanted to go Adamant Nature, but I wanted to go harder than 116. You know, this is the second bump. I wanted to go to third pump at 196, right? And then this still leaves me with a good and decent amount of bulk. So I just went like this, right? And then 192 is good because, you know, if I'm playing against Rillaboom, then the 192 is optimized for grassy terrain recovery. You know, you're getting a perfect 12 every turn, okay? And now the Ogerpon. So like I said, we're playing this slow. I do like a decent in terms of, wait, no, this is too high. Right here, 139, right? So again, if you just do some quick math, 139 after an Icy Wind, that's going to go to 208. That's going to outspeed, again, the Modest Flutters along with the Qianpaos, because they cap at 205. So we're going with the 207, 208 route. So that's what we have here. And then literally, I just maxed the HP on this thing. Like I always like to play my Ogerpons relatively bulky, and I can't tell you how many games where this bulk pays off, where you're just living on a little bit of health and able to get off a key attack like an Ivy Cudgel for the KO, or putting something in range, right? So I go to the second bump here, and then just the rest in defense like this. So it still can hit decently, right? But it's relatively bulky because, again, consider the SPDEF, right? And then even though this defense isn't all that great, the fact that you have an Arcanine here can definitely help with that, you know, especially for the Fluttermane too. So I think this makes a lot of sense. And again, Water Absorb is really going to help Arcanine and URSALUNA against a lot of those water type attacks, especially like my little like Scald or, you know, another Urshifu with Surging Strikes. You know, this is going to help a lot. The Fluttermane here. So I'm going to go back to my old bulky Modest set. We're going to go 36 investment here. This is you know, plus 176, and then I'm just going to calc for the Qianpao Adamant stuff. So 196 and 116 HP is what we want. This is going to, again, survive the Chien-Pao, Adamant Nature, Sucker Punches, and the Icicle crashes, right? So if I just go here, put the Flutter, right? If I just put in a set real quick, let's go booster roll. Let's go 116 and 196. This is really, really good in terms of trying to survive that stuff, right? So here's the Icicle Crash. Here's the Sucker Punch calc. Here's the Crunch calc if they still have it. But the main idea was the Adamant Icicle Crash, and this is that calc for it. And then from here, look, watch this. 175 is what we want. This is enough investment. And then 1 point in Spidef, right? So 1 point higher. So this way we always get this special attack boost. But also at the same time, 175 outspeeds Adamant, max speed Dondozo. So, you know, after the Omni boost. So that's also really, really good and helpful in my opinion. But yeah, we have a very, very bulky Fluttermane set, especially with like Arcanine, you know, intimidating stuff. But I believe that's it, right? Yeah, we just made some like general quick EVs here, but it was working, right? So you got the Cresselia here with Terra Electric, Ursaluna, Terra Normal for a lot of big damage. Iron Hands is Grass, Arcanine, here's the Fairy type, Fairy Terra, then the Ogerpon and the Fluttermane. So we got a Fire Water Grass core, all right, and then at the same time, we just have a bunch of good hard-hitting Pokemon with enough support where we can do relatively well. All right, so what we're going to do now is just quickly showcase it in a couple battles just to see how the team functions, and then from there, we'll re-put this Pokepaste and get you guys out of here. We have 3 JPEG images. Alright, so this one is a Ninetales team, you know, with Landorus. I do like Ninetales Landorus as a duo together, and then include Heatran or like some good Steel type. And it's a great way to start a team building video, right? And from here, you know, he's got Iron Bundle and Chien-Pao. So this is his version of Snow. He's got Empoleon here with Fluttermane. So those are some interesting mons here. Not a bad team, not a bad team. I feel like if I get Tricomote though, I'm in a great spot. But of course he's going to be able to stall it out with Veil. But I feel like if I could put on more pressure to like break through, then I'm in a decent spot. But you definitely want Cress, Ursaluna here. I think Iron Hands is also important here, you know, just because there's so many things weak to fighting here, especially even the Empoleon. That's like 4 weaknesses already. So I think it has to come. And then we have the Steel move for the Fluttermane, which is always great. And then we just bring our own in the back. So from here, again, here's Cress, here's Ursaluna. He's going to go with Landorus, and he's going to go with Iron Bundle. So he intimidates, but of course to no effect. He U-turns and crits. He goes into the Ninetales, so he gets a nice little defense boost. He goes for Blizzard, so it's very effective. He gets the 100% accurate move, but we just click Hyper Voice and the Iron Bundle dies. So we get a boost, we get rid of the bundle, we get rid of Triggum in a great spot. Here comes Chien-Pao. I do expect Sucker Punch. I don't know if it kills, so let me get a little bit of recovery first. He didn't even go for it, so I'm very shocked. He went for the Veil and went for Sacred Sword. I could have just clicked another Hyper Voice and I would have been chilling. But I go for it again. That's very good damage, honestly. And there's more recovery with the Lunar Blessing. And this Ninetale has Howl, so I didn't even know that because, again, they didn't accept Team Sheet. But that's a cool tech on Ninetales here. But he goes for Sucker Punch. We protect. So I just want to remove the Ninetales so it doesn't Blizzard spam anymore. He goes with the Landorus. He intimidates, but again, doesn't matter. I go into my own Iron Hands because I don't want to get Sucker Punched. And I just want to remove the Chien-Pao off the field. And that is exactly what we did. And he goes for Terra Blast. But again, that's not really going to do anything. Now we just fake out and we set up Trick Room. And now next turn, we just click Wild Charge and the game is over. But he's not going to be able to... We're not going to be able to see that because he ends the game. So it was all about, you know, basically healing the Ursaluna and keeping it alive with Cresselia. And then at the same time, you just clean up with Iron Hands in the end with Fake Out Pressure, which is very, very good. And then you get a second Trick Room going. So that's the benefit again with Cresselia and Iron Hands. It gives you a way to set up Trick Room for the second time. So this way, you know, after your first one expires, you still have the engine going, right? All right, so this one is a weird one. So he's got Grimmsnarl and Furgraf and Mousehold. Very passive team, but he has big hitters like Physical Ursaluna and then his own Fluttermane here. So the one that basically concerns me is the Grimmsnarl. So I just want to lead it and deal a ton of damage. And if he goes with an Iron Hands lead, then again, I also have some value here with my Fluttermane here with the fairy damage. So it's Bobby play. So here's my Earth, here's my Iron Hands. He goes with Iron Hands and his Furgraf. So maybe just to deny or imprison the Trick Room on my Cresselia. Now, I don't know who's faster, but I don't really care because either way, what he can easily do is just heavy slam my Flutter Mane, and then, you know, he gets his own, or he clicks Imprison Trick him in this sense, right? So I don't want to do that. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to let my Flutter Mane special attack go to waste. I'm going to Intimidate the Arcanine, but I'm going to, again, he goes for the Fake Out, so that's okay. Dazzling Gleam is really good damage, and we forced the Terra Grass. He had red card and forced out my Ogerpon. So yeah, that was something. Drain Punch. So I redirected the attack away from my Arcanine. So there's Psychic, and now we Flare Blitz. We get rid of the Iron Hands, which is great. So Arcanine having great value already. And now here comes the URSALUNA. You know it wants to protect. It doesn't want to take any damage yet, but I'm just going to try and get rid of this thing. So there's my Flutter Mane. He protects. I want to Intimidate, of course. There's the Wild Charge. It doesn't even kill, which is surprising. And then he chips my Flutter Mane with Psychic. That actually did a decent amount of damage. But, you know, now he's getting ready to go. I'm going to go into the Grass now. I'm going to protect Flutter this turn. Again, I'm just stalling, right? There's the Headlong Rush, of course. I don't know why he did that, but he gave me good recovery here and reprotect. Now it's time to get in the Hisuian Arcanine, Intimidate the Bear. And he's going to die anyway, so I just want to get rid of Melvin. But he crits me again for the second time, right? If, my idea was to let this bear die to burn and just get rid of the Friggraph, and then I would have been chilling, right? But we have to play this game. Thankfully, we live from the Melvin over there. But now we go into Flutter Mane here. Trick him is over, and he has Grimmsnarl in the back. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Ally Switch doesn't do anything. We just click Dazzling Gleam, and we just click Flare Blades, and the game is over. So, what did we learn there? We learned Fake Out was good. We learned Intimidate was good. We learned URSALUNA Crest was still pretty good. Even though we didn't really need to bring them. Ogerpon was great in keeping the Arcanine alive with that Follow Me, which is exactly what we needed to do, right? But it's a pretty cool team and it works. It's a familiar core. It's just with URSALUNA, the special variant. And again, there's other variants, you know, with, you know, Chenpao here, but, you know, this was our take. All right, so one more time, here's the Pokepaste on the screen, and we will put this, of course, in the video description. I think it's a pretty cool team. If you got some limitless online tournaments, definitely consider using this and bringing it, and even modifying a little bit if you wish. And, you know, hopefully we'll get you into the top cut, of course, or even a win. So, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you're doing team building, and if you need a little bit of help for regulationE, if you're trying to go to regional, tournament play, locals, premier challenges, they're back, MSS, whatever it is you got, we can give you help. So make sure you sub to the channel. It's just $10, very, very affordable. It's in the video description for the link. It's also in the pinned comment section, and every single video has a join button where, again, you can join the channel with that sub and then sign up for coaching. Message me on Discord once you do, and then from there we can coordinate a one-on-one meeting. All right, but we'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good night.